evolved over eons on various planets. Their apprehension about technology waned, enabling them to colonize and traverse distant stars and to finally battle on the same playing field as the Draconians. Initiating a fresh migratory wave, these feline humanoids were astounded to unearth burgeoning different civilizations around them. Lost to ancient lore, their shared ancestry became obscured, making each encounter with other species and worlds seem like a novel discovery. Yet these were merely their kin, sprouted from the same Lyran seeds back on Avion. Over epochs, varied evolutionary paths, interbreeding, and genetic interventions rendered a mosaic of various races of humanoids, each distinguished by size, complexion, and consciousness. In this vast expanse, the omnipresent Draco and their eminent Chiaka leaders influenced numerous races, including the Greys of Zeti Reticuli. Notably, certain humanoids in Orion, majorly the Avion genotype from Vega, known as the Ahel Pleiadians, found consonance with the Chiaka's expansive pursuits, culminating in the formation of the Orion Empire. The tensions and disagreements between the Federation and the Empire were in the many. The early war were initially over territory, but it became a war of mindsets and ideologies, and many were prejudiced against other races of who were under either side. On the one hand, there was a group of human hybrid races that had joined forces in the Federation. Many of its members recalled well their subjugation at the hands of the Draco Empire, and therefore rejected the ideas of colonization and intervention in other worlds. They became committed to the idea of service to others. The philosophy of service to self began innocently enough in the minds of its adopters. It proposed that if everyone prioritized their own needs, the collective would naturally be cared for, which sounded promising. However, what ensued was a paradigm where service to self came at the expense of others, perpetuating the familiar cycle of victim and oppressor on our own planet. This struggle between the Federation and the Empire became known as the Orion Wars, named such because most of the fighting took place in and around the Orion system. The war lasted for millennia, and while there were truces and times of greater peace, the general trend was one of conflict and countless generations that grew up with war, death, slavery, desperation, and strife as the normal. For hundreds of millennia, the conflicts within the Orion constellation wreaked havoc on numerous life-bearing planets. It was often remarked that the night skies were perpetually illuminated by stellar explosions, visible to the planet's dwellers. Over time, a multitude of inhabitants chose to flee, seeking refuge from the looming threat of subjugation or annihilation by the Empire. Such dire circumstances led to the fracturing of families, and numerous species inclined to resist the Empire faced brutal extermination, an atrocity paralleling the genocide inflicted upon the Jewish population on Earth. Furthermore, planetary detention facilities were established to incarcerate species and races that were less technologically advanced and had no strength to fight the Empire. Roughly 12 million years ago, in the constellation of Sirius, the Galactic Federation held council. One group of Lyran humanoid refugees had found a new solar system and settled on an evolved planet first called Maldek. But wherever these refugees went, the Draconians and the wars kept coming closer. The Syrian Lyrans initially did not want to get involved, but tensions were rising, and soon occasional fights erupted between the different factions of refugees as to which course of action would be best. The worlds of Sirius were mainly inhabited by refugees, reptilian, Lyran and mammalian crossbreeds who had fled the ceaseless wars and battered planets in Orion to find peace and solace. It was there the Syrian solution was established. This solution, Anunnaki royals and later Atlanteans of Nibiru. In order to find peace, one of the federations proposed a creative plan for conflict resolution. Inspired by the idea of an alchemical union of opposites, they suggested to the Empire and the Federation a marriage between royal lineages to create a common ruling dynasty, mixing the genetics of humanoid members of the Orion royalty reptilian humanoid princess named Tiamat with a high-ranking royal blood member of the Federation, a Lyran prince humanoid man named Tiberian. The strategy of blending lineages through marriage and crossbreeding was initiated, leading to the emergence of a new royal hybrid lineage. This lineage was characterized by its muscular, towering stature, elongated skulls and skin tones that ranged from very pale, albino, to shades of dark blue or red, embodying a warrior-like humanoid form. These hybrids are recognized in historical records as the Anunnaki, or, subsequently, the Atlanteans, revered as the divine beings of ancient civilizations such as Mesopotamia, Greece, Africa, India, Rome, Atlantis, and as depicted in the Old Testament. Unfortunately, the marriage and subsequent new royal lineage did not have the result that the Syrians and the Federation had hoped for. Because of their different heritages, they were a race divided amongst themselves almost from the start, and it would prove difficult for the Anunnaki royals to unite as one family, or to hold to one set of principles for all the galaxies. Also, many races refused to pledge their allegiance to the new dynasty because they disagreed with any genetic manipulation that included reptilian DNA. However, this union did create a peace that lasted for a few 100,000 years, with the Anunnaki royals ruling, before warfare once again exploded throughout the galaxy. Subsequently, the situation of the Orion Wars transformed with the birth of a remarkable child in Sirius. This child was believed to be the inaugural incarnation of Christ consciousness in our realm, and sent by Yahweh, later recognized in future epochs and many myths as Merlin. Wielded 5th density capabilities and 7th density abilities, manifesting as miracles. Prophecies foretold that this being would have the power to incarnate at will, with a soul so powerful it could transcend space-time. As an adult, this being possessed the ability to resurrect the dead and create planets and galaxies with merely thoughts, propagating teachings echoing later peaceful luminaries like Yeshua or Buddha. Merlin advocated unconditional love and forgiveness, eventually dissolving entrenched dualistic perceptions, which led to a truce between the Empire and Federation. This newfound understanding heralded an ascension in collective consciousness, culminating in the elevation of vast populations into higher densities. Under this newfound peace, the Orion Empire metamorphosed into a matriarchy, with the reptilian royal queen named Tiamat, the Dragon Queen, at its helm. She was given the luscious planet Maldek as a gift from her husband Tiberian, where they proclaimed the planet to be named after her. With long eons of peace, the 13 new humanoid reptilian hybrid families that sprouted from Tiamat and Tiberian persisted in the ancient reptilian ways, which can be found in the Enuma Elish. These families, ancestors to the present-day Cabal or the 13 royal bloodlines, sought only for self-service and dominion over resources and power. The Draco fleet, driven by an unending quest for new planets for farming and mining to sustain their race and uphold their vast infrastructure, was in a perpetual state of expansion and movement. Approximately 365 million years ago, 2 Draco